You started selling and having success in sales as a kid. So, I mean, lemonade
as like an
stands,
infant,
right?
Yeah, like
was that
like really young, right? Like now, like my daughter's 6 now, she's in 1st grade. I was already really selling.
Wow.
And so when I look at her and her classmates, I'm like, man, I was a weird kid.
Was that taught, or do you think?
No, that was definitely
not at all.
taught. No.
Really. So then, in your teens,
Yes.
it's baseball cards,
Yes.
or late preteen, I guess.
Yeah, 12, 13, 14, 15 baseball cards.
So were you that kid who like didn't play on the weekends? Like you weren't
Right.
like you were
Right.
you were hustling.
Right. Yes. I mean, I left college every weekend to go work at Wine Library.
Wow.
Like literally, like like think about college for a second, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Friday after, like morning or afternoon, like where your mindset is, what you're about to do for 2.5 days. I was taking 2 trains to get to the Boston train station to then take a train, and I didn't buy Excella tickets back then, so it was like a long train ride to New Jersey, getting to Woodbridge Station at 8, 9, 10. My dad picking me up and getting home to an hour away, and then sleeping for 6 or 7 hours, and then Dad waking me up, and then spending all day Saturday at the store, and then the next morning having breakfast with my mom and my brother and sister, and then driving or taking the train back to Boston.
You're a visionary and you can kind of see ahead, and you've talked about that a lot. For example, with Wine Library, when it was still a family wine business, you convinced your dad to hire a full-time web developer.
Yes.
Which was crazy at the time. This is pre-mobile devices, pre-Amazon, pre-everything. So is that, how did you become so visionary? Can people learn that? Can we, I want to be like that. How do I do it, Gary?
I don't think so.
Okay, well,
sad
for me.
And I think the only way you can is if you try to spend all your time understanding consumer behavior. Mm-hmm. So the reason I'm good, you're getting to a really interesting point. The thing that, and I've got things. I'm a good communicator. I work hard.
Right.
The one thing that does make me different that I know, and I'm comfortable now talking about it, is I just understand what you're going to do before you do it. Like, I know what you're thinking. And I think one of the reasons so many other marketers and personalities watch me is because I'm not regurgitating something else, and then it feels fresh.
Yep.
And the way I do that is by only paying attention to my community and other human beings. When I go to the airport, it's like a petri dish. I just watch people. And I watch what they're doing, and I'm like, ooh, that's how I discovered Snapchat 3 years ago. I'm like, what is this yellow thing that all these 10-year-old kids, they're probably 15, but I saw that before it even spiked on the iTunes. So I'm a anthropologist, or whatever they call it.
Right.
I'm watching humans.
Okay, let's jump back to the wine business, because that line in your bio that everybody knows is you took your $3 million family business to $60 million, $70 million. What do you think were the keys to that success?
Long-term view. So I was also a kid that built a business. Let's take a different angle. I built a business from 3 to 25 million very quickly in the first little batch. And I still paid myself, my dad and I paid me $47,000 a year. So I'm living, now think about you in your mid-20s, dude, and your friends are making $100,000 a year because they went to Wall Street and all this, and you're making 47, you've built up to a $25 million business in a second, and you have the patience and humility and long-term view to pay yourself $47,000, because if you pay yourself $250,000, that's $200,000 you can't put into another employee, into another New York Times ad.
Right.
So I think the 2 core things were talent and patience.
Yeah, I love he has a lot of content about patience, and everyone needs to go watch all of it. Because it's the best.
Because you're not retiring tomorrow.
Right.
But why are so many people making actions that, anytime you go in for the kill, buy my $50,000 mastermind class, buy my $400 ebook, anytime you go in for the kill on your community, you've stopped the growth. You've changed the relationship.
And for someone who's just starting out at the very beginning of their business, maybe they just quit their job, they got a big contract, they're on their own, but they don't have any employees or anything yet, what's your number one piece of advice for them?
Work.
Actually, I was going to ask you, because on Snapchat this morning you were like, do the work.
Yes.
That's the answer. And you were like, I could tell you were like so ticked.
I'm just so ticked. I got 47 snaps in a row that were like, Gary, how do I work? Work, it's always the answer, meaning there's only 2 things, working smart and working hard. Smart being the strategy, the product you came up with, the idea, and then the action. everybody's got ideas. A billion ideas are going to be thought through by people today that could be $100 million businesses in 6 years. But like 4 are going to execute on them. Work. Like just the volume, like the hours, 12, 16, 19. So work, patience. It just does. Patience. If you know you're doing it for the rest of your life, you're not going to do quick, cheap moves. If you think you're marrying the girl or the guy, you're going to act differently around them than if you think you're hooking up with them one time in Palm Springs and you'll never see them again. You're just going to act different. I marry my business. Too many of you want to hook up in Vegas and it stays there in your actions. So work, patience, and the biggest one of all, I'm going to leapfrog, self-awareness. You have to know who you are. And I don't know if that's teachable. So I got very lucky. I would tell you that is the gene that I have that has made me me. I just know who I am. I've always known who I was. And I only play to my strengths. I do not put myself in a position to fail. Including things like I won't do a TV show that wants me to read the Chiron because I'm a bad reader and I'll come off terrible. Whereas here, as doing this interview, I'm the best at this, right? Like I'm super good at this, right? So my talks are good because I only talk about shit I know. Like, I don't try to fake the funk and be like, I'm a Periscope I'm a Slack. That's a good one. Slack, I'm very obsessed with it, but I'm not a Slack expert.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to talk about that, but some people see Snapchat and Periscope and other things and they want to be an expert right away because they know there's fast cash and this and that, and then they get exposed and I'm like, guys, the creme de la creme, and I'm going to put myself right in it because I'm in it. I'm judging you, and so is the establishment, meaning like the customers, the biggest brands in the world, when you're saying wrong stuff, you've been eliminated.
Yeah.
So you can make some quick dimes, but you've lost out on long-term dollars. Got it?
Yeah, that's good.
So keep your mouth shut if you don't know what you're talking about, and if you don't, put in the work to figure it out. I'm spending every minute on Snapchat to learn, to reinforce my message.
Yeah. How do you feel about people saying they're the next Gary Vee or the Gary Vee of such and such?
Flattered out of my mind.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, sure, I'm competitive, like, yeah, right, kid. But I'm absolutely, that's like 3% of it. 97%, like, oh my God, I've done so well. I've inspired people. I've created something that people respect enough that they want to say they're the, anytime I do this, I'm so thankful that people want me to do this. I will never get too big to think this isn't cool, that people want to hear me, that people want me on, that I can, by being on it, I can help you. Like, sending that retweet helps you. You're about to pick up fans. I like that.
Here are my keys to success from my interview with Gary Vaynerchuk. Number 1, be patient. He put in a lot of time and energy, 1,000 episodes of Wine Library TV, knowing that it would pay off eventually. But he said the first few hundreds of episodes, no one was watching. He just knew it would pay off. All of his goals are long-term payoff, not short-term payoff. Number 2, become self-aware. This is something Vaynerchuk says is one of his key strengths. He knows himself, he knows what he's good at, what he's not good at, and he bets on his strengths. Number 3, be willing to study. He's not studying other people. He's not studying industry publications. He doesn't read books or watch podcasts. What he studies is human behavior. Number 4, be willing to work. You almost cannot think of Gary Vaynerchuk and not think of the word hustle. He talked about how in his 20s and 30s, he put in hours and hours when other people were enjoying college or going out and spending time with friends. He was working. I think if there's one thing we can learn from Gary Vaynerchuk, it's that your actions need to be as big as your goals. Number 5, be willing to serve. I think his first act of service, if you will, was going into the family business when he didn't want to. And then I think he serves in giving away tons of free content. Of course, eventually he asked for the sale, but overall he's giving away way more than he's asking for. And I think that's because he truly wants to help entrepreneurs, marketers, and small business owners. I hope this encouraged you and inspired you and motivated you today, that you can make a lot happen if you're willing to be patient and put in the work. For more inspiring articles and videos, go to success.com, and to see my full interview with Gary Vaynerchuk, go to thepursuit.tv.